Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to David Abendroth, Twang to Twiangle, Mitch Kennedy, Original D-Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMels24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Matthew. Who else is here?
And Discord, we got Rayleigh.
It's a
Morning,
holiday
Riley.
in the States today.
It's a holiday here too. It's Bank Holiday Monday here.
Yeah. Well, not everyone speak at one time.
Well,
Because it's hardly.
Well, we'll have to cover. Let's say we'll have to cover after we do all the other videos. The one that's been posted with Danny Faulkner speaking in the church.
Is that what Flatsoid covered?
Yeah, but we need to do our own because it deserves us and our panel to review it as well and not have, super chats being written in between read, and just keep it more concise, shorter. Flat Source is part 1, part 2, and I've got still half an hour on part 1 to go through, and then there's 3 hours of part 2 still to go through.
Okay. Did you want to post whatever you want me to cover in Master B?
Well, we're going to continue. You have choices here. Are we going to continue the 5 levels of time that we never finished because the computer issue?
You can do. Or if there's something else you want to cover, and then we can come back to it just to break it up a bit. It's up to you.
Well, we should start that one all over again, or do you want to start at the 3-minute, 20-second mark? I believe I'll check for sure, but then you can splice it together and make a whole thing out of it, so it's concise. One show on it. You tell me, I'll know what to put up.
Yeah, just
Morning.
Prof Green, and we'll start at the 3-minute mark. 3 minutes 20.
All right, let me go get that. Well, let me go get all that set up while you guys talk.
Danny Faulkner.
Go ahead.
Scratch that immediately. John's changed my mind. Go and get the Danny Faulkner video.
Exactly. 29-minute mark. Put that on.
I can already tell that was the right decision.
Yeah, he needs to be put in his place. He's a moron.
I agree,
Well,
but I heard Paula say something that you guys got something going on. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, hang on, let's just get some. So I'm going to try to find the actual video rather than you scrubbing through Flatsoy's video. So I'm going to try to find the actual.
I put the actual video.
Okay, fine. Then that's the one I'll go get. Unless you want to put it back up again.
I actually put it right in your direct messages, 10th.
Okay,
At
so
the
I'll go.
timestamp, but I don't know if you'd want to start it there or wherever.
No, that's fine. I'll go find the actual video, which is the one you put in, and not confuse that with Flatzoid's 2-part series on it.
No, I figured that would be annoying. So I
got
got the original video.
Okay, I'll go do it.
Danny Faulkner is asserting you can take measurements from the center.
That's what he's saying. You can take this measurements from the centre of the presupposed spherical Earth at the molten iron core. How interesting.
Yes, he is.
Okay, well, we'll have to address it.
And that's how you get your latitude.
Is that what he says? Okay.
Yeah, he's got the celestial sphere in there. He thinks stars are under your feet. That's what I'm looking at, the way he's got it described. There's a lot of assumptions he made. Sorry, I keep crashing into you, John. Go ahead.
He doesn't think stars are under your feet. He thinks you're measuring stuff from the center of Earth.
That's probably even worse.
I can tell this is going to be an easy job. So what I'm going to do today, just because 3 of you are so, I don't want to say passionate about Danny Faulkner, because that kind of sounds a bit wrong, but you know what I mean. Hopefully I'll get some timestamps, because it sounds long.
29 minutes.
It's just that a specific part. Okay, fine. Well, I'll play it through.
Well,
Go on.
hang on. It's a holiday. I don't have the whole day. I'd like to be on it for a whole day. I'm just about to post Neil's video of the actual talk inside of the church. I haven't even finished listening to the entire video because I jumped on Flatzoid's critique of the video. And so I haven't seen this whole video from Danny Faulkner. So, and I have a short day. So don't do it because of me, but I've got to go eventually. But this is worth the whole panel. And if it's a holiday there, maybe we should save it for tomorrow.
Nah, it's no time like the present. Let's just do it. You're all talking about it right now, thanks to Flatzoid. So, maybe Flatzoid needs a bit more of a punt in that regard, or a bit more of a shout out, because he's obviously got your juices flowing over this. But no time like the present. You're talking about it. It's in your mind now. This is the time to do it. And unlike normally, where you're keen and then you're keen to get my responses, I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. Right? In other words, it's not going to be 100% me in the live show pressing play and then reacting. I'm going to press play. I'm going to hopefully expect you guys to pipe up.
Right. That's why I would like to be here for the whole show. I can't do it today.
No, but we can do it again, is my point. Even if you disappear. How long you got, 10th?
6, 7, 8. Well, probably at the most hour 45, 2 hours.
Plenty of time.
Well, we're going to start in 5 minutes. That's fine.
All right. Well, if you're not doing a pre-show.
We are doing a pre-show.
In 5 minutes, it's done. The pre-show.
Yeah, no, we've had by the time we start, we'll have had a solid 10 minutes.
All right. I put it in there. I put what Neil sent me in there.
Listen, this is, I mean, you can go from the beginning all the way to the end, but at the 29-minute mark, and probably before, this is really what you guys have been stressing.
Well, wait a minute. Is the 29-minute mark the beginning of his talk, or is that?
No, that's when he starts dealing with the spherical dome and center of the earth nonsense.
No, you got to start. You got to start where he starts. So we're going to critique the whole video, hopefully.
Well, maybe, but for now, let's not ruin the flow.
Okay, do the short version of
we'll
the 29
do the 29-minute mark.
Yeah.
I'm pausing it now just before that, and we'll get into it at that point. And that's obviously the most contentious for you guys. Right. I'm glad we've got a plan.
Yes, Christian righteous indignation is good television.
Can we use expletives when talking about Danny Faulkner?
If you must, but you just don't blaspheme.
Well, shoot, gosh darn it.
Listen, guys, do this properly with the language right, because this should be able to be sent to every Christian to watch it and listen. We don't want them to discount it because of language.
I was just being facetious.
He was only kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
watch
that's
your phone.
okay. No, I like to share shows with all audiences so that we could get the message out. We don't need them to say based on bias of their own. Okay. Not necessarily our righteous anger that gets us mad sometimes and things come out of our mouths, but they're going to just turn us off. So let's just make it as clean as possible. So they got no excuse.
Yep.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Refracted Curvature, 10th Man Rising, Matthew Eastman, Neil Cosentino, the Adam Meakin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Let's get it on.
Morning.
Good to be here.
Also, your show number seems to be wrong. Droid said it's supposed to be 84 or 94.
That's
94.
definitely pre-show stuff, but thank you for mentioning it. I will get it changed. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge that's a horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
No,
Any evidence for anything globe shaped?
Has anyone seen Taboo's latest video?
Yes.
Yep.
Beautiful. I need Tony to it's like the old days, getting out Google Earth and plotting the points, but like the old Isle of Man.
Well, somebody has done work on it already, and it was probably the most concise work he's ever done at 10 minutes long, which was Brian. Have you seen that video?
No, I've only just caught Taboo, so I'll catch up, Bryce, with them. I assume he'll share it with me this afternoon, but proper mind-blowing, mate, in terms of any evidence, because even at that, you see how the numbers stick out. The distance to the horizon, even at that height, was only 74 miles, and 49 miles hidden. It's the thing that came to mind, Nathan, was you just going, no, that's just Mont Blanc. I can just see it. But even that one I found amazing. That it does appear to be, doesn't it? Certainly the size. It's just outstanding pick. And the real. Is that what the question? Is that a ball destroyer to you? Is that sufficient evidence?
In the face of a ball claim, I don't know, man. In my comments on Brian's video, I just immediately started calling people bitches and saying Black Swan.
Years ago, I'd have been buzzing at this and thought you think it was the best. And there's still part of me that's really chuffed. But this part of me is like, how do you use it, really? It's just an absolute wonder, is the way I'm viewing it at the moment.
Wait till you hear Danny Faulkner on the Black Swan. Oh.
It's not at all other than to say, look here, ladies and gentlemen, the Earth is obviously and observably flat.
You don't know about refraction. That's why.
Okay, that is where you step in and you can annihilate the globe. Right, exactly. So you need a positive assertion to work off the back of Adam, as opposed to the black swan image itself, where it's just a tool. You know, it's a means to an end in an argument. Well, unless you are prepared to have me jumping all over your case saying we see too far, you just stand there and go, there it is. I see it because it's there. The Earth's obviously flat. That's it.
I have something with the Earth curve calculator. That's a positive claim.
Is it going to be flat Earth positive? Let's have a look at what's going on here. Let's see. Go on then.
It's a differential calculator between eye level and sea level, where sea level meets the sky.
That's flat Earth you're describing then. So you're saying it's a flat Earth calculator, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because it is. That's not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. The differential Earth curve calculator is Earth curve in name only, because it's the difference between two flat planes, eye level and surface level.
Yeah, I'm still not having that, but carry on.
I mean, you're not having that. That's what
I saw Brian's video. It was good because it's his response to flatzoids, Mont Blanc.
He's preemptively saying this is what ballers have got to say. I think he came out at 351 over 6R with the refraction calculation. Well, you know, Brian's preemptively saying, what other explanation have they got? So hence, off the back of him saying that they've got to say refraction and here's the rate, my response, black swan then. So what about the angles? It's quite convenient that we've got these two different positions concurrent, is that right? Concurrently running at the same time, basically. Which is to say, oh, it's really, really refracted. And the straight line angles that we correct with, it's like, hello, I tried to do it with an old video or a trimmed out bit from Simon Dan back in the day when the Black Swan first came out. Here's Black Swan rebuttal from Simon Dan. It's all refracted. Pretty serious refraction. So got to be dealt with. There's atmosphere. There you go. Okay, so we're clear about the position. Always atmosphere, always refracted. Okay. So what about these angles we're talking about then? They're straight lines. Never achievable.
That don't count.
Go on.
It's extreme
They're always
refraction.
straight line. They're always straight lines to a point below surface level. Really?
But not for your average glurf, because your average glurf doesn't have any straight lines ever. Not just on the surface, but with any line of sight to anything ever. It's never straight.
Can you have a bent line of sight below surface level?
In terms of the calculations that they're asserting, no. Upon declarations of refractions to geometric positions that aren't visible anymore, they annihilate the straight lines needed for the geometric assertion in the first instance. Now, it's only been 3 years, but that's pretty much what we've been telling you when we say, oh, refraction, bye-bye globe, and they look at us with a blank expression. Yeah, now that we've got both arguments running concurrently, you can hopefully recognise it if you're really stupid and it's taken you this long, 3 years. That would be to say,
Well,
on the one hand, you've got a geometric horizon you're doing dip corrections with. Now, that geometric horizon is being pointed out by John, exists below surface level in a differential calculation. Now, meanwhile, you're also telling us, after telling us about the straight lines you're correcting for angles, about how bent they all are in the atmosphere. Sphere-shaped air never to give you a straight line. Can you see the problem here? Probably not. 3 years is a pretty long time for people not to get this.
well, even a bent line will never get a tangent up to surface level. That's not possible.
Right, perhaps you could just repeat that for Professor Phil Bell, MC Toon, and most of all, the poster child for this, which is Rufy. Yeah, how's that geometric horizon working out for you? Rufy, do you want to remind him what the problem is, John? Go ahead.
Well, whether you want to assert it's geometric or refracted, you're still asserting it's below surface level, which makes it not real because the horizon is where surface level meets the sky. Either way, you're wrong.
When dip correction is needed, it's measured at dock at height of eye above sea level. So if you're in the middle of the ocean and you measure 10 feet where your eyeballs with the sextant would be above the water line. And now you're in the middle of the ocean. Are you telling me that it's 10 feet is now below surface level, way down in the horizon?
Only in the maths.
It's an impossibility. It's just the height of eye destroys them because the dip correction is just you got to get your eyeball as if you were doing the sextant reading from the surface of the ocean. And that's why you know it's 10 feet before you even go out to sea. And so what John is saying is if it's the differential between what their math is saying, well, that's below surface level. But the height of eye is surface level to the eyeball on top of the boat, not from below surface level. So it just falls apart.
No, that's not their math. It's differential between two flat planes. They don't have any math. It doesn't exist in the math.
That's my point of contention. You can only apply that clever critique of refractors to the dip to the horizon calculation. The actual point of the geometric horizon, the Earth curve calculator, as it's incorrectly named, is just literally a geometric function that helps you define the two planes that they're going to try and differentiate.
Alrighty then. Unless there's
It's
any more comments.
important. I know that might have gone over some heads, but it's important, particularly when we're arguing with Ruthie, which is what I'm doing. So I just got 3 points he wants me to keep answering. He's killing him, this, Nathan. He's killing him.
Yeah, no. 3 years.
Adam, you're not making any sense. Number 1 point. The distance to the horizon formula is the correct formula for modelling the globe, true or false? Well, I say false. Yeah? It's not a correct formula for modelling a globe, certainly not modelling a viewing of a globe. It's literally just a 2-dimensional geometric formula for calculating tangent lines based on the height of an observer, the height of a stick above the surface of a circle. That's what that formula is.
Just for clarity, we're dealing with the last of the dregs of the stupid on the globe side. What's a tangent, just for clarity at this stage, Adam, please?
With a point of intersection with the surface of a straight line.
A straight line to a point at the surface. Okay, so it's straight. That's what tangents are. You're getting this down, Rufy. You got a pen. That's a geometric horizon.
And so I won't bore you with the middle bits because it's just a bit of technical. But the third point he's making is the curve calculator correctly models the hidden amount. And I've said all I can say to him here, because see what he's trying to do, he's trying to crowbar this geometric truth, which I have no problem with, because I will say, yes, from a geometric point of view, that's exactly what the title, the curve calculator, does. It models the hidden. I've done it myself, wrote a formula for it to do it in the 2-dimensional geometry of circles, lines, tangents. That's what it does. But what they're trying to do, you see, is use that as some kind of calculating tool for when we observe things in reality. And that's why, fundamentally, years ago, you called it right. Perspective hijacking. Proof of nothing. Earth curve calculator is its point. It doesn't do anything. It's got no bearing on the Earth unless you've got an R and you are invoking a black swan. But fundamentally, all it is a geometric calculation. That, like I assume what Brian's done, that is there to excuse reality, so to try and comport reality into their ball, and that's all it does. Is we said why we see too far, how much of those straight lines bending is what it's trying to work out, and that's how Brian comes up with the last one. I was 3040 over 6R, and that's what they do in their maths to try and comport it to reality, because they have no perspective. All they can do is expand their ball and make it flatter and flatter and flatter until they excuse what you see in reality.
Yeah. Well, no, because in order to have or to make those apologetics, they're using a tangent-based calculation to apologise for seeing too far. Correct?
Correct.
So they'll need a tangent then, won't they?
Yeah, but their lines are bent.
Yeah. Their lines are all bent.
How many flat spots are there on a sphere to make it flatter?
None.
This is the point, isn't it? It's taken them 3 years. 3 years to get to the point where they recognise that by telling us that the line to the horizon is bent, that's the black swan rebuttal from the Glurf side, then you no longer have your apologetic calculator, which is based on tangents. 3 years. Unbelievable that it's taken them this long to figure out why it's so wrong and how it fails. So, you've got a tangent point to the horizon. Allow me to introduce to you Simon Dan, who's going to tell you precisely why you don't have a tangent from back in 2020 when you started responding to the Black Swan.
Of course, there is some serious refraction going on here, assuming that there is no atmosphere at all.
So, are we going to assume there's no atmosphere? Like Simon Dan says? Or are we going to assume that there's some pretty serious refraction at all times? It's standard bent lines always. So given you've got standard bent lines,
Serious refraction.
then you're going to have a problem with tangent calculations to make apologetics for seeing too far. Meanwhile, we don't see too far as flat earthers. We don't need to explain this. It's like many things that we seem to have been forced into a corner where we're told that we need to offer up an alternative position. Well, what's going on at the horizon then? And foolishly, we launch into investigations into diffraction limits. Totally unnecessary. What's that you say? Why is Mont Blanc visible? Why are you asking that? Enjoy looking at it. Yeah, but we need to explain why we can... No, we don't. Not as flat earthers. I see it because I've got eyeballs. I need to explain why I see it. I open my eyes. There it is. That's the end of the explanation. What, it shouldn't be there on a globe with tangent-based apologetics and calculations that can't function because everything's always bent? Oh, that's a pity for you. Me, I just see it because it's there. No explanation is required. Okay, anything else on tangent-based calculations?
Just a contrast. It's nice to have all these long-distance proofs, but just the Black Swan alone, with a known distance to 2 oil platforms, did them in.
Serious refraction.
But, you know, on top of that, when it comes to level, they'll assert that sea level is curving, but eye level is a plane that you can draw angles from, which they really need to rethink that, because that can't be true.
But that's why they have so many horizons. They got the sensible horizon, which is the astronomical horizon. And then they got the real horizon. And they got, the one that's from the center of the earth. So they have to play this game of parallel planes, horizontals, and just stack them on one on top of another and put a globe in there. And then you have all these lines. And then they confuse everybody about it.
Well, in all fairness, that is how they got confused to begin with, measuring the differential between flat planes. That's how they built that curve that they think exists.
Right, because you pre-assume a globe. So now you got to go do some math with pictures to match the math. And, okay, so that's how it works out. So it's like Eratosthenes saying, all right, I'm going to measure the shadow of this stick, and it's going to tell me what I live on. Okay, well, what do you live on before you go start this thing? Oh, I believe I live on a sphere. So I'm going to do everything to match my sphere. In fact, I'm going to say that light is coming in parallel because I need that to be for me to do this.
Yeah, but even the assertion of parallel rays requires you to measure the angles of the shadows off a flat plane.
Exactly. That's why it's a destroyer of all of what they got.
Yeah. The Black Swan was the end. it's just taken quite some time for them to realise it. Cognitive pain is obviously a troublesome thing when you're trying to believe you live on a ball. Because you're going to find...
Some people haven't realized yet.
Yep, it's only been 3 years. Okay, right, so we're going to cover this video. So Flatsoid, shout out to you. He covered this a couple of nights ago, I believe. And we're going to do the same now. So Flatsoid suggested this, but I am. Please let Danny Faulkner know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. So in the live stream chat now, there is a link going by to the video that we're going to be covering, which is called Flat Earth, Dr. Danny Faulkner. And it is on Cavalry Fort Knox channel.
He's speaking in the church. So if you're going to write this, you're writing to a church's website. But if you want to reach Danny, you're going to have to find where Danny's at, which is Answers in Genesis.
Okay. Well, either way, don't stand on ceremony. Go to the channel and let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, because we're going to be covering their, what would you call this, a sermon?
No, there's no sermon at all involved.
Okay. Either way, this is what we're going to be covering, so please let them know we've covered their video. Obviously, leave them a nice comment. Be respectful, as always. Hopefully, were there to make a response, not that we're suggesting they do. In this instance, it doesn't make any difference who you are as a YouTuber. If you were to respond, I'd hope you'd do the same and put the link to my video in yours. So share the algorithmic love. Okay, we're going to get going, so...
So that north celestial pole, that angle it makes is equal to your latitude.
Flat Earth required. Wow, we've only been playing for 10 seconds. Latitude, he's drawing out an angle with his arms. That's 2 straight lines, meeting at a vertex. You'll need a flat baseline to do this, Danny Faulkner. You've just proven a flat Earth within seconds of me pressing play on the video. Now, in this instance, because we haven't actually got to the 29-minute mark and my panel are very keen to cover this video, for the most part, other than me pointing out that straight off the bat, Danny's proved a flat Earth with an elevation angle description to get latitude. Ding, 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 flat Earth required.
I thought you were having a go at Bev.
Yeah, well, let's not bring Bev into this, right? Bev's on our side, and his misguided assumptions about not having any use for angles to only then contradict himself to say, quote, you know your latitude with an angle measurement to Polaris. We'll leave that to one side just for now, and I'm hoping you on the panel will respond now in the next 5 seconds after we go over the 29-minute mark, because obviously there's something juicy that you want to respond to.
For around the arc, it's a little less than 39 degrees.
Sorry, around the arc? Degrees around an arc? No, I'm pretty sure angles are 2 straight lines meeting at a vertex, not one meeting an arc. What he's talking about there, I think we're going to have pictorial examples. Right, we're right on the 59-minute mark. I'm going to try not piping up from this point forward, okay, guys?
But if you go farther north, it's going to be higher. If you go farther south, it's going to be lower. Let me illustrate what's going on. This green circle represents the Earth, and then you've got this vertical line going through it that represents the rotation axis of the Earth. And so if you extended that rotation axis of the Earth up above and down below, that would intersect the sky in the north celestial pole and the south celestial pole, and Polaris, or the North Star, is really close to that point. For the sake of argument, let me just say Polaris, or the North Star, rather than the north celestial pole. Good enough. Now, halfway between, that would be the equator. That's your line there. And let me pick a location on the Earth, say the arc encounter, and right there, I'm going to draw a line.
Hold on. Anybody notice that he said on the Earth?
Yes, he did. He thinks he's in the center of the Earth on the Earth.
Oh, Danny, your diagram quite clearly describes dissecting the Earth. And the angle that you have drawn comes from the centre. But you said on the Earth. Now, you're in a church, and you're lying to the congregation. Because what you're drawing is not on the Earth. So you've lied to a congregation full of people, Danny. May God have mercy on your soul.
From the center of the Earth to that point up on the surface of the Earth.
Sorry, from the center of the Earth. A moment ago, it was on the Earth. Tricky with words? Obviously, with a Christian audience, you'd expect him to be of the utmost sincerity with what he says, not try and be deceitful with his words. So now we're in the Earth. Getting this angle, are we, Danny? Burning in the fiery hells of the molten iron core to acquire this lying angle. Is that where we are getting the angle? in the fiery, hell-like core of Earth, Danny? I'm going to suggest not. Nobody's getting angles from a hell-like molten iron core.
And I think most of you would recognize from school that the angle between the equator that I drew, the horizontal line, and that second line I just drew there is equal to your latitude. Again, I suggested this by...
Yeah, that's your latitude being measured by way of elevation angle measurement to Polaris, with the baseline being the ground. It's not measured from a centre of a presupposed spherical Earth and isn't only possible at the equator if you're going to try and infer that the line that you're on is the equator line through the axis. How can that be possible? It isn't. He's also made it clear that we're in the Earth taking this angle. The angle measurement that he's actually described is a possibility. You can take your latitude measurement to Polaris, or gain your latitude from an angle measurement to Polaris. But that is not taken from the centre of Earth.
This, it's a little less than halfway. 45 degrees would be halfway. And you can see it's a little less, so it's close to 39 degrees.
When you're in hell, it is.
No. What he's showing is the celestial sphere model, and ignoring that that's the flat plane that bisects it is the Earth you're stood upon. And he's saying instead of it being the Earth you're stood upon, you're actually inside in hell. It's ridiculous. And it's the most sacrilegious thing I've ever heard said in a church.
Well, I would like to focus on that for all of the congregation who may be watching this and have been told by way of commenters who can tell them that Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. You are nodding along to a man telling you that you're measuring angles in hell. That's what he's telling you.
From hell.
From hell. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, so there's 2 slides of Master D, so we can show some visuals of what the real angles are, elevation angles. You can go over them. Lose you?
Sorry, I was on mute. On screen now, we've got an elevation angle measurement, and you can assume that the star is Polaris. Well, if this is an elevation angle measurement along a flat baseline to give you the 90 degree here, and it's at the GP, that's ground position of the star, that your flat baseline is meeting for the angle measurement in the first place, then this is a flat Earth proof. It's not taken from the fires of hell. It's taken from the surface. There's no conversions. There's no moving it to any equatorial planes. There's just an angle measurement to Polaris off a flat surface. It can only be done off a flat surface. It wouldn't have 90 degrees to the base of the line that you measured for the angle if it was curved, because it wouldn't be an angle anymore. And I'll say it again, it's not being taken from the fiery cores of hell. Second diagram.
In a moment.
Just one more. If you're going to assert that the surface that you're measuring for the ground position, which requires 90, as shown on Danny Faulkner's diagram here, then the surface, which is where you're actually measuring this from, would have a bendizontal baseline that wouldn't give you 90. However, in reality, you do and can, and this is done daily, measure an angle off a flat baseline with 90 degree to, in this case, the base of Polaris, to give you your latitude on a flat Earth. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say in a moment, he's getting ready to put a tangent plane on top of a sphere and say that defines the horizon, where the tangent plane never touches the sphere except at one point, which will be interesting.
Now, if you're standing at that end of that point, the Earth is going to block the view of everything to the lower left. You can see everything to the other right. There's a plane that's tangent to the Earth at that point, and that will define your horizon.
So why are we having to utilize planes, and how can we have a tangent plane coming from hell when nothing will be on the surface of this tangent plane because you're claiming the surface is the globe shape? Why are we drawing out new surfaces that we're not standing on to claim that we are standing on surfaces that we're also not standing on because we're at the fires of hell, measuring angles from places we can't be to give us a second tangent plane surface? Yep. The lies we weave.
Horizon. Let me just suggest what it looks like there. A little.
Yeah, he said to give us a horizon. No. A horizon's where the ground meets the sky, or the surface of the water meets the sky. That's what. This isn't a horizon. Anybody watching this in the church going, yeah, I see the horizon that I know and love on this diagram, represented in a way that I can easily understand it to be a line from left to right, if I can see into the distance. Yeah, this is just what it looks like, eh, Danny? We'll just reiterate again that you're only doing this so that you can move the angle to the fires of hell and create a new flat plane on top when you're claiming that we're taking it from the surface, also in the surface, with your deceitful words.
Little circle there. Now you see it on the edge, it's going to be kind of foreshortened. And that's going to be your horizon. It actually would extend.
That's going to be your horizon when you get your angle from hell. Your horizon, if you're a congregation member and you're a realist, is just the line that is represented from left to right when you look out into the distance. It's not the angle from the fires of hell creating a tangent plane on a sphere. Because Danny told you so.
Out way up.
Yeah, that's stuttering. That's Satan. That's Satan coming through his tongue.
Above to the upper left.
Same thing yesterday.
Yeah, he knows he's lying. That's why. Can't be concise. Because he's got the devil in him.
Left and to the lower right, but I'm just showing you that. And the sky does have a dome-like appearance to us. Doesn't mean it is a dome. It's just the appearance we get. Because when we're looking in the sky, things are so far away, we don't have depth perception. Everything in the sky appears to be the same distance away.
Hold on a second. How does he know?
Go on, Adam.
You can't call it two ways. So in their world, in the ball world, there is no depth perception. There is no angular adjustment for distance. The only angular adjustment is because of Earth curve. So you can't have it both ways, mate. There's not one fraction of a minute of a degree that's attributed to distance in their way of understanding this elevation angle. Not one bit of it. It's all in ours, because it is the co-angle is the distance in nautical miles, and therefore it is an understanding of perspective of two flat planes. But in their model, every angular change is attributed to Earth curve, not the distance. It's just how many angles that Earth curve is bending you to adjust the angle to the star. No perspective. Done.
Okay, so for a slightly more detailed version of what Danny's trying to describe here on screen now, we've got what he's trying to represent. Now, we have in the past called this the globe burger, because you're drawing out a flat plane with the celestial sphere as the bun on top of a globe Earth that's redundant. So now he's got himself a nice flat plane that he can slant at an angle comparative to this one, so that you don't recognise that what you're actually doing is this. You're taking a perspective measurement of a star as it drops towards the horizon off a flat plane, and the arc of the tool as it would move towards the horizon as you measured it will give you this dome that he's describing. But the angle measurement's just being taken off a flat plane to a light in the sky. Isn't it angelic how simple it is? This is what he's giving you.
On
This is
screen.
Go on.
Is kind of exemplifies the ludicrous. Oh, it's just gone. If you can just go back to the one with the globe balancing the celestial sphere on the top. There's a number of contradictions in their model that happen there. The first one being that you see the celestial equator. Wait, well, yes, that's I suppose what you are seeing, but that isn't what you see, because they take it to the center of the Earth. So what that flat plane, it either has to go, as you've been saying, to hell, to the center of the Earth, or in reality, it actually bends. So if you're on the North Pole, you're actually seeing all the way to the equator, the actual true equator on their ball, that distance. But it is a flat plane, but it's curving around the ball. And that's why that becomes nonsensical. And so the only way they can kind of resolve this is to bring that flat plane away from where the observer is, sat on the surface of the ball, and bring it to the center of the sphere. That way, the maths will line up, and also the stars will line up with your position. Because as you can see there, you limit part of the sky. You have a number of angles you lose. You lose distance to certain objects. This is part of the impossibility of the moon phases. It's not possible with that celestial sphere balanced on the top. You have to drag it to the center to make the ball Earth commensurate with reality. In terms
He
of
just denied that, though.
I know.
He just denied that, though. Like, he's saying that the spherical model is not what we see. If I misunderstand the flat plane I take the measurements from to come to the center of the Earth, that's not what we see. That's what he just said.
That's correct. So just for summary, we need a flat plane. And the reason we need a flat plane is because this is how we take the angle off a flat plane. Okay, so he's gone through his little do-si-do, take you to hell, readjust the angle, project it out through the spherical surface you're no longer standing on because you're in hell, out to a new flat plane, that's this, that's commensurate with working with angles to the sky, that's this. Now, to confuse you, it's stuck on its side, but this is a flat plane with the ground correlating to 90-degree angles to your position out in all directions along a flat plane. Now, you've got to go through those steps of taking you to hell so that you can continue using a flat plane for angles, because that's the only way they'll work, but have a little redundant ball below it and have it on its side so it's not recognisable that you're just using a flat plane tilted on its side. Anyway, let's go back to his diagram. Oh, well, you know, it's exactly the same. You at hell, projecting out a point that's the angle that you measured from hell, to a single point tangent plane that you're not standing on that will be commensurate with the angles when plotted on this flat plane that's not the sphere you're standing on or in. Okay, we're all clear, Danny.
Nathan,
Yes.
can I comment on the following slides I put there? Go to the one with the teeter-totter, please.
Okay, it's up.
Okay, so this is what Nathan is saying. The navigator with the sextant, which is an angle measuring device, needs straight lines. You need this right angle triangles because you got a minus 90 from the zenith position of the star to know the co-altitude. And so it's impossible from a curved surface. So you need a flat plane to do that from. That's why they always take you to the center. We go to the next slide where we have two images of sextants. So as you can see here, this tool is designed for a particular reason. And you can see it's going to have two mirrors on it, and you bring it down to the horizon. Go to the second slide of that one, please, of the sextant. You can see it's pointed to the horizon, and you rock it until you get the vertical or the zenith height 90 of the sun. And there's tons of videos on this. So this tool right here can never work from a curved surface. This tool only does elevation angles for the celestial GPs from the horizon up, and that can't be bending for it to work. So that's why they do everything from the center, which is hell, where this whole lie came from, because it's not the truth. Now you go to the next slide, and this is from a U.S. Navy site, and it's showing you how on a battleship how they got to do it using the sextant and getting angles. Okay. Now if you go to the one right after that, where it shows the center of the Earth and then that tangent plane on top of the dingleberry, you can see how they start confusing people. I don't know if you're on that one right now. And then follow that one up with the other Navy slide where it shows the sextant to the left and the reading and the Navy ship, showing you how to get an elevation angle. Again, I'm going to finish up with two comments at the end of citations. Tell me when you're on the first citation. Yeah. Okay. All right. Altitude or elevation. These are synonymous for the angular, and notice the language, angular height of an object above your horizon at any given point moment. When a star is on your horizon, not center of the earth hell, but on your horizon on Earth, so that it is either just rising or just setting, its altitude or elevation is 0 degrees. That's horizontal flat baseline right there. And when it is directly overhead at the zenith, its altitude or elevation is 90 degrees. Keep in mind that this is an angle, not a physical distance. Okay, now go, and that came from, next slide will show you what book that came from, Fundamentals of Radio Astronomy. We'll go to the last citation. Angles, not distances, are the fundamental astronomical measurements. Angles are used to define points on the celestial sphere by using the system of coordinates discussed below. Angles, not distances. And that's from the Ballot of the Planets, Mathematical Elegance of Planetary Motion. They're just doing themselves in the minute you do a little research. I'm done.
Right. In terms of distances for Danny's assertion, to get you from hell back to a flat plane that's actually utilizable for these angle measurements, off the flat plane, these projected as an umbrella over hell at the center. Well, Danny, this is disgraceful, because as soon as you infer a distance, you've got one, an R value, the one we debunked in 2020 with the black swan. So you're inferring distances where the citations make it specifically clear that it's only about the angle. And the only angle measurement that Danny's got is coming from hell. Moving on, unless there's something else someone wants to add at this point.
I'm pretty sure that it's a Christian teaching that as above, so below, as it is on earth, so it is in hell. I'm pretty sure that's in the Bible somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm standing here, if I look at an object over here and over here and over here and over here and over
From hell, because those are where you're getting your angles from.
here, and they all seem to be the same distance from me, that defines a hemisphere, doesn't it? Very easily. Doesn't mean they're that.
No, the perspective view of an angle measurement from your zenith, that's at 90 degrees. If you were lying on your back on the ground, the star would be above you if you look up, right? As it moves towards the horizon and you measure its angle, the angle measurement tool would present itself as an arc. Does that mean that the star's moving in an arc over your head? No, but that's how you represent it in a perspective manner. Yeah, this would be the arc of the tool. Yeah, in the same way as when you're describing how you take these angles, what you have on screen from 10th citation is a tool with angles on it. Well, this, although now upside down, isn't the dome of the sky. It's how we're measuring it with angles. But flip this over and call it a dome? No. No, definitely not. Definitely not when you're taking an angle from hell either. But in either event, what you can then reify that into is the celestial sphere when describing it in model form. The representation of the sphere itself being you at one position with the angled declination towards the sky as the star moves. Obviously not in the case of Polaris. But that's an angle measurement to represent perspective, not an actual dome in the sky. Or an umbrella over hell.
That far away just means we lack depth perception to do that. We only see in 2D when things are far enough away we can't use our stereoscopic vision of our two eyeballs. Now I could draw a line from my position on the Earth there parallel to that rotation axis. And then I can draw another line that's tangent to the Earth right there. That would represent my north direction.
So according to him, your north direction goes off into space along a plane that isn't the surface of Earth. So you're seeing out up here. Well, what do you see at the limits of your view? Your horizon. So he's saying the limit of your view is up here on the edge of this tangent plane. I've stuck to the bottom of a redundant sphere when I took an angle from hell. No, the edge of your vision will be represented by the horizon based on where the surface ends. But in this diagram, according to him, when you turn left and look at the horizon, what you're doing, you're looking up directly up towards the axis of a sphere Earth that's redundant because it's not the plane of this tangent that is drawn out.
Just on, so this is the ridiculum again, because where he's marked north is actually on the flat plane. You see, it's on the base of that circle, which is the flat plane in which all the mapping's going to be done on. And that north still makes sense on a 2D flat map describing everything, even with relation to the stars. And as soon as you try to balance that map on a ball up, then north becomes ridiculous. Nothing is no longer the two ways of describing. You've got your north, south, east, west, and then your ups, downs, and your star angles. They're no longer compatible. North and south step out of this now. It becomes a three-dimensional relationship, which is not expressed on the flat plane.
Well, hold on a second.
And that
Hold
picture
on. You say, hold on. Yeah, just don't want to get criticised from the commenters on the Glurf side, especially when you say incompatible. But that can't possibly be the case because all of the maps and charts are using non-Euclidean geometry. They're not Cartesian, are they? They're spherical.
No. Charts.
I mean, no.
North's correct on a chart.
But, sorry, are you saying that on a chart we wouldn't be doing it from the centre of hell? We'd just be using the flat plane, and north would be north, up would be up, down would be down.
Yeah. So the GP of the star can be expressed on the two-dimensional paper relative to your position, and that will be true just as much as the North Pole could be expressed as a place in a two-dimensional on the chart. As soon as you try and balance that chart on the side of a ball to make it make sense, north becomes nonsensical. It's no longer relevant on the chart.
No, you missed my point. But the charts are balanced on balls, aren't they, Adam?
I think in some people's minds that's what they think. Well, no, because ultimately, no, they're not doing that, are they? Because they're having to drag the chart to hell. They have to take it to the centre for those positions. But like I say, even then, north doesn't. Look, take that same line he's took with north, look, and now drag it to the centre of Earth. And where's it pointing now? Not pointing at north. Because it becomes a three-dimensional position now, north, and not on the 2D chart anymore. You can't represent it anymore if you're going to try and put it there. Even if you keep the flat plane and drag it to the centre of the Earth, it has no description on that flat plane at the centre of the Earth anymore, north.
So what you're saying is, even if you drag the flat Cartesian charts and maps to the centre of hell, they're still going to be referencing north in the same way. It's still going to be requiring a flat plane for elevation angle measurements and drawing out circles of equal elevation on the chart. So even if it was dragged to hell, the maps are flat because they need flat baselines and elevation angle measurements to work with them. So the maps are all flat Earth maps then. The charts are all flat Earth charts then.
Correct.
Well, isn't that interesting? So is this waffle from Danny Faulkner for a congregation not in reference to how we actually navigate should they get lost? I mean, is this just so we can convince them that they're in hell as opposed to having a practical application? Because what you're saying is the practical application with maps and charts is to use it on a flat plane and not do any of this bit where you get to hell to come back out again and use a flat plane that's redundant with regards to the sphere you think you're standing on. It's just to get these people to hell. It's not to save their life if they were navigating then.
Well, what they're trying to do, Nathan, is they have to make everywhere that's a vertical, everywhere that's a perpendicular vertical to their equatorial plane is north. So because what they're doing is, this is why I always ask Proto and any of them the same question: where did you get the arc length? Because what they're trying to do is turn what is a horizontal measurement or distance measurement in reality into an arc length from the center of their globe. And that's what they're trying to do.
That's correct. But so you've missed the... But Brian and myself, for that matter, aren't particularly religious. However, Brian's only just joined and, we've got to get some of the sentiment into Brian just so he's up to speed. Okay, Brian. I know you sort of brushed past the fact that you said doing it from the equatorial plane. You just need to rephrase that slightly to doing it from the fires of hell. Can you do that for me, Brian? Thanks.
Yes. Sorry, Nathan. When they're doing it from the fires of hell, every north is every direction straight up. There is no angle to north because their north is a very, very huge Polaris, and that's their north. That is ridiculously big in size and light years away. So when they're doing it to north, they're everywhere from their plane of hell is everywhere in a straight vertical line up from that, a perpendicular line from that is north for them, because they need to make a point.
Brian, can you just point out where you mean up off the page?
Well, they need to point up to a particular point on the celestial sphere from their plane of hell.
The equatorial plane.
Point,
let's just clarify that, because
yes.
I want it clear, because you're sort of, you can say the equatorial plane, which in this context, in this church, is the fires of hell. Equatorial plane is this in his diagram. This line that you'll have to stand on to get the angle. Well, you're at the center of the equatorial plane when you do that. That's what would have the dome of the heavens around it, which I described earlier as the perspective view, which I've got from Brian in terms of my consistency of that description, right? Well, that dome of the heavens around the fires of hell is the equatorial plane, basically. Yeah? So that's why we're going to, from this point forth, whenever he's describing angles that are taken to, quote, the dome of the heavens or the celestial sphere, then that is, quite literally, for these Christians in this context, from the fires of hell. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, when they, I'll be very quick, John. When they reference the celestial dome, the whole point of the celestial dome is so they can orthographically represent perspective. That's the point of, that's because it's all based off of the protractor. So that's what they're actually doing. It doesn't mean that the star is taking an arc, because it's not. It just means that that's the only way to represent it from a perspective point of view in orthographically on a piece of paper, right, as a way of describing, right? That's all it is. So what they need to do is make a point on that celestial dome from their equatorial plane via an angle that originates from a horizontal surface and is then brought down, right? And then a step one, measure the angle in reality, right? That's step one, across the horizontal plane we live on. Then you take it down to their equatorial plane of hell, in this way, if we're referencing Danny Faulkner, and then that point that it makes on the celestial dome orthographically, that then becomes a 3959 circle, a radius mile circle, and then that then is their arc length. That's how they work it, because they need to be able to show an arc length. That's what they need, and that's what they have to do.
This is why it's probably the best time. On screen, we've still got the guy, and the field of vision, the celestial sphere lot, is you can see where it's positioned and what part of the sky is available to the person stood on the top of the ball looking. Okay, and you can see stood on the top of the ball, less of the sky is visible than if you were able to see the sky from the center of the ball. And this is what Stellarium does, and this is why they have to go to the center of the ball, because if you were stood on the surface, then your vision of the sky modeled wouldn't be what you saw, because you see more of the sky than you should be able to do stood on the ball. So the only way to make reality commensurate with the ball celestial sphere model is to place you in the center. That way, Polaris will be seen on the horizon, or stars will be seen on the horizon in the correct relationship to the ball Earth. But if you keep yourself on the surface, there's stuff below the horizon that you will be able to see. And that is solely a consequence of trying to force it onto the ball. The sky, what you see in the sky, the only place you can see it is also at the center, because it's the only point where that much of the sky is open to you. Does that make sense in terms of how they have to convolute it and what the net? the net impact is. And this is why when you get to the impossible moon phases, where they are possible to do on Stellarium, this is why they truly are impossible, because you wouldn't be able to see below your feet. As John often points out, that part of the sky becomes impossible to see in reality if you're on a ball, but actually it is available to see you in degrees, which would take you to the equator from the pole. But you wouldn't be able to see it if you were stood on a ball, which is why they have to take you to the center and map it from there and say that's what you're seeing. I'm repeating myself. I hope that point's made.
Can I make it for you or help you with it, Adam?
Good morning, guys.
Good job.
Morning.
What Adam is saying is that with the flat equatorial plane, you have the limit of 0 to 90 or 90 to 0 that you have with reality. But if you are stood on the top of a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then you will see more of the sky because you're not limited by the horizontal that's straight out from underneath your feet. Because you don't have a horizontal to limit you then, because the horizon is dropping below that horizontal. So when I make the point that dip correction requires the water at the horizon to be in a horizontal with the water underneath the boat, is because it does. Whereas if we were on a globe, right, that horizon is never going to be horizontal from the water underneath your boat, which means that you will have more of the sky. You'll be able to see more of the sky below what is your horizontal if you're stood on a globe. That's another reason why they need to use the equatorial plane. Is that your point, Adam?
Yes, simply, yeah. Another way of putting it, it's trying to excuse what we see in reality, which wouldn't work on their model, and how they have to pervert the model and where you claim to be stood to make observations of reality fit to the model.
In all fairness to them, dealing with the reality of a flat plane is like being in hell. So maybe that's where they're getting confused.
And with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a member, and all that good stuff. And of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on an after show, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Is it the molten iron core? Isn't it reversing? Maybe it's nice weather now down there now.
No, it's appropriate because this whole teaching is from hell. This whole teaching is to take away from the creation story of the Bible that the church should be teaching.
He's at a church, like a regular church.
Yeah, he's at a church
talking to people about this.
Yeah, because see, we've been trying to say from the Christian point of view that scientism has snuck into the church. And these are the same people who say, well, we don't agree with evolution or Big Bang, but we're okay with the whole heliocentric model. Whereas the whole thing is one and the same, because in order to promote evolution and Big Bang, you can't use the biblical account of creation because you have a creator doing it. So you got to say, why don't we start a doctrine from hell, right? And then we can sneak in Big Bang and evolution, because obviously it's no longer a requirement for a creator. So this is where the argument is, where they're cherry picking. Yeah, we're definitely against evolution. No way, Big Bang. God made everything. Well, what about this heliocentric model? Yeah, we're okay with that. Yeah, but it's what?
So it's okay for them to use the same story, which we basically life doesn't mean anything. We're just chemical reactions that became complex enough to become sentient, and then a ball that we live on that we were all.
They reject that
primordial soup.
No, they reject that, but they want the model of heliocentrism because, see, when a lie gets into something.
But it's the same story.
No, it's the same story, but they're saying we don't like the chapter 2 and 3. We just like chapter 1.
Oh,
Correct.
that's cute.
You see what
So
I'm
they try
saying?
to
This is where I'm
discriminate.
calling them out. This
Chocolate,
is where I'm calling every Christian out when I talk to them. Okay, because you can't do that. You're either a Christian because you accept the Bible and the Bible version, and I can't wait to see Danny go over what the Bible says. You know, Earth stationary, Earth does not move. I mean, we can show this with so many ways, but the whole point, he's saying the opposite. Well, the opposite comes from the heliocentric model, not from the Bible.
but Chocolate
Yeah,
brought
he
up an
never
excellent
touches-
question there.
Yeah,
Just
Brian.
quickly, Chocolate brought up an excellent question there. If you're a Christian, to ask Danny Faulkner, right? Because Chocolate just these obvious things just come to Chocolate just with ease, right? He just sees it. If you're a Christian, you can ask Danny Faulkner publicly in front of his congregation, does he believe that the Earth has a molten iron core? And if he says yeah, then you can tell him that he's in direct opposition to the Bible. Because according to the Bible, that's where hell is. So either he believes in the hell or he believes in the molten iron core. He either believes in the devil or he believes in the molten iron core. Which is it, Danny? So, good one, Chocolate.
And he never addresses gas pressure without containment. Not once.
Nathan, are you
let's
there?
basically, Kat.
Nathan.
Yes.
Yes, I put a slide up for what Brian was talking before you made a transition from the show. It's about the high, divide, and dip.
Got it.
Brian, I'll let you take over because you and I are on the same side here. So here's from a navigation book. It's saying summary, top right, summary of dip angles for various heights of observation above. This is like right in your face, above sea level. I don't know how much clearer you can say. So is there any correction for dip if your eyeball is at sea level, which is shown as 0 in meters and 0 in feet? Does it show anything? No, it shows 0 degrees, 0 minutes. But look at the title. Summary of dip, which is high divide correction, which is done before you even go out to sea, because you got to know when you're standing where your eyeball is above the sea surface when you use the sextant. Okay, because if it's at sea, you know, you're in a boat that's tossing and turning. This has got to be a to-go number. So say it's 10 feet. All right, well, it says here it's 16 feet. It's to the right of 3.9. But what if your eye is on the sea surface? What's the correction? None. And then read the title again. Summary of dip angles for various heights of observation above sea level. Then we go to the middle picture. Observer's horizon, geoidal horizon, the nautical almanac, and the site reduction tables assume that the sites are taken at sea level. For instance, from the periscope of a submarine barely emerging the water. It's pretty much telling you what we just discussed. Brian, you want to add to this?
Yeah, well, Adam's point was, if you take the observer's horizon there, I just want to say Eli's looking to get in there, Nathan, if you were away when he was trying to join. Just let you know. Oh, hey, Eli. Sorry. Yeah, if you take the observer's horizon with the periscope, right, what that means is that when there is no height above sea level, then your observer's horizon is the horizontal using sea level, if you want to see it that way. Now, the correction can be described with as the vertex going down or the line going up to the eye line. It doesn't matter which way you describe it, because the water at the horizon still has to be in a horizontal line with the water underneath the boat for the correction to happen. Which means that you have a limit, a horizontal line underneath your boat that is a limit we call the horizon. You can't see any stars below. Adam's point was, if you were standing on a ball, then there would be stars that would be possible to see, especially if you add in their celestial refraction. Because it's actually their celestial refraction, from what I can tell, right? especially if you add in that to be stars visible, they shouldn't be visible at all. Under current circumstances, even with their celestial refraction. The reason I say their celestial refraction, not that I'm referring to over 6R, because it's not that. I'm referring to them needing to say it's refraction because within their model and their belief, it has to be. It can't just be a perspective effect due to the stars going into a person's horizontal view. So the whole point is that Adam's point was, there's something on a ball, you're going to see stars that you can't see in reality. That's his point, and he could even show this if he had the right software in front of him. So that's why they have to bring it. Another reason why they have to bring it to the center of their globe, their equatorial plane of hell, in Danny Faulkner's words.
Can I go back to laughing at Danny Faulkner real quick?
Yeah, go on.
So all of this explanation that he's going through in his little video. First of all, did he get to the part where he's talking about the black swan? Did we even get? Did we get there?
We're probably
yet?
going to
No.
cover this in more detail at some point, Chocolate. We just wanted to cover that particular section today.
Right. Okay. First of all, I want to laugh at him for that because it's like, wait a minute, how serious is this that this guy right now is running around to churches, talking to people, and putting up the black swan, having to talk to people and give them all this explanation about why we just see something, and he's got all this globe crap, all this supposed mathematics, talking about tangents and all this crap that he's trying to explain to a congregation full of church people to convince them that they're on a ball that they already think they're on?
No, he's reaffirming it, and he's going to teach them. It's also going to teach them how to deal with flat earthers when it comes to them.
Oh, really? And for that, he's running around presenting our arguments, like the black swan, like which
Oh,
these
he
people
misrepresents the black
probably.
swan.
Well, of course he's going to misrepresent it. I mean, that's what they. Oh, look at the bendy cranes. Yeah. Completely missing the argument itself, but that's not the point. The point is, why are you in a church talking about the black swan? Is it that serious? Has it become that crucial?
Yes.
That's my point.
I
But
said
you
that
just got-
yesterday on Flat Swords Chocolate, that 2-3 years ago, this ain't happening. But now it's happening because we've become a problem.
So, Danny,
So all
doing
the
that-
At some point,
doing that
just
work.
to answer Chocolate specifically, Chocolate's asked the question, right? Because he got up that morning, looked into the mirror, said, I'm going to go and face a congregation full of keen, enthusiastic Christians. Now, I've got a couple of choices. Should I A, talk about accepting Jesus into your heart, or B, talk about these flat earthers and their black swan evidence? I'm going to go with the latter.
That's what I mean.
Hold on, be fair. It was a presentation specifically on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
We want to
But-
thank him.
Sorry,
that's
you're telling
the
me
point.
it was a presentation on accepting Jesus into your heart, and he still got into the black swan? Wow.
No, it was a presentation on flat earth and Christianity.
Well, I, for one, want to thank him. Even though he's running around and misrepresenting and talking about bendy cranes and all that. Yeah. Congratulations going around and putting the black swan, literally the picture with bye-bye ball on it, in front of all these people that know nothing about it and probably don't care about it.
Yeah, it's my
Because
point. Scott.
it seems to be that crucial for you right now. So congratulations, Danny. Thank you very much.
Took you to a new audience. They probably would never have heard of the black swan. And
That's what I'm
irrespective of
saying.
Danny's description, thanks, Danny.
Yep. Look at that.
People are going to look at that after the seminar, after the bit of brainwashing, aren't they? And come to their own conclusion. Bloody hell, really? 6 and 9 miles.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
exactly. And then he starts with stating correctly all the flat earthers, they say why is the horizon behind the oil platforms, blah blah blah. But that's okay because look at these bendy cranes. Okay,
he says
so
worse
if
than
you've
that.
got people, he probably does get worse than that. I stopped watching at that point. But what I'm saying is, yeah, you're gonna get a couple of heads that are gonna be like, yeah, this is where we just live on a ball. That's what's up. But then you, Danny, might put yourself in the position where now you're giving people that edge. That people are gonna sit there and listen to you like, wait a minute, weren't you just talking about the horizon? Why are you talking about these cranes now? You might have one or two of those people that are gonna question your nonsense now. Why did you use that straw man early and fast? You just said yourself the horizon is the argument that the flat earthers brought up. Why are you talking about bendy cranes now? So yeah, keep going, Danny. I appreciate that. Keep misrepresenting it. I mean, that's what you're going to do because you have no choice. Because you had to go into how we're taking angles from hell now. It's fucking hilarious.
We're
Well, if
dealing.
any of these,
Go on, Brian.
just maybe very quickly. Well, if any of his congregation asks them, then what are boats sailing over? Then what's he going to say at that point? Refraction? Do you know what I mean? Physical boats sail over refraction. That's where he's at there. Huh? Sorry, Dave.
No problem. We're dealing with a person whose expertise is astronomy for over 40 years. And now he's got to make a choice. Did I take on a field that I'm an expert on? And was I fooled? Was I pushing pseudoscience, but not knowing it? Now that there's the black swan and how a sextant works and everything, am I? No. I'm an expert here. I'm going to make it my life's mission to correct this because this flat Earth whole thing is troublesome to Christians in the Bible. So I'm going to be the speaker on this. So he's got a bias he's got to protect. He's got 40 years of expertise he's got to protect. And so what's the motivation for him to properly debate and get the argument right? No, he just wants to protect his interests and his years. Or else
I forgot he also has a book. He's the guy with,
Yes.
oh, I got the answers. I wrote a book. You guys can't come, you guys don't have the answers. I have the answers, right? That's this guy. Right?
Well,
Danny
he said-
Faulkner?
Well,
Then he
for
goes.
40
Then
years.
he goes. He'll be blue balls though for the answers, doesn't he?
But for 40 years, that means that Danny Faulkner has been using the ultimate flat Earth model, which is the celestial dome model, because he's an astronomer.
Right, which
Right.
says that you must assume a non-rotating Earth for it to work.
Also a flat plane. But the thing, there's no argument to be had anymore. He's up there blustering as if there's an argument to be had. But he's a flat earther too. He's just confused. They're all flat earthers. They all use the same flat plane that we do. Heliocentric is the most delusional flat earth religion that exists in reality.
Right. There's 2 slides of Master D, and I want Adam and Brian to make their point clear on these 2 slides we showed last week. It's coming right now, so they'll be there in just a second. It's on the equatorial plane and the EQ Mount telescope, as we read. Since he's going to take us down there, and since all observations are based from there in the Nautical Almanac, as well as when you do EQ Mount, because you're using a star map, no longer horizontal coordinate system, but the sky map itself. For some reason, it's taking a little while to get there, but when it does, I'll let you know.
He's trying to convince himself and others that he actually still has a purpose.
Well, if he doesn't, he's going to have to admit that he was actually trying to tell the truth, but was fooled by heliocentrism. And his astronomy years, he's going to have to go back and correct other books and other articles he's written. And this is tough for him. All right, the slides are up, Nathan, if you can go to it.
Okay.
So the first one is the picture of the equatorial Mount telescope. And where do they have it? They have it right in hell, right? The center of Earth. So that can't work from the surface either. Sextant can't work from the surface. EQ Mount telescope can't work from the curved surface. And that disk that's sitting on, that's the equator plane. I mean, this is not flat Earth material here. This is how an EQ Mount telescope works. They all agree to this. Next slide is a written bit that makes sense. It may be a bit confusing for beginners to imagine the celestial equator and related declination. A really simple way to picture this is to replace the sphere Earth with a flat circular platform on which the telescope stands. The platform has the size of the Earth's equator, and the axis is the polar axis. Even when moving the telescope to any place on this disk, the declination of objects will always be the same. The famous Andromeda galaxy M31 can, for example, always be found dec 41, 16 minutes. This is independent if we observe it from New York, Los Angeles, or Munich. So basically, when you no longer are using terrestrial reference Earth, but go to the ephemeris and use the sky as a map, you need to be on the flat disk, no matter where you are. It's the sky map you're referencing. So it's not observer related. It could be an observer in LA or Munich. You just give them a reference of right ascension and declination, and everyone could put their EQ mount there, and boom, they all see it from wherever they are. What? From a flat disk. It's based on a flat disk, not go to the picture before. It can only work if it's based on a flat disk that everyone could see it, not from a curved surface. So I'm doing this so that Adam and Brian could talk about what they're saying. If you were on the surface and it was curved, you would be able to see more stars because the Earth is curving away from you. Whereas if you're on this disk, you only see the stars above the equator disk, never below the equator disk. But if you're on that surface where it's curved in this picture, oh my gosh, there it's curving away. I could see more, but that's not happening.
Can I bother you for a second?
Yeah.
I like this sentence. A really simple way to picture this is to replace the sphere of the Earth with a flat circular platform on which the telescope stands. Why is it at every turn it seems all they want to do is to replace the spherical surface that they think they live on, that they argue with us about living on, to a flat surface?
Because you can't get an elevation angle from it.
Right, because the measurements don't suddenly work out. So you have to temporarily think it's flat in order for the calculations to work, and then you can convert it back to a globe.
I've got a message from Dave McKeegan in this regard precisely. Quote, why it doesn't work on a globe? In order to do trig, you need a triangle, and triangles have flat sides, and obviously the globe doesn't. End quote. That's from Dave Twangles McKeegan, that is. So you can trust him if you're a baller.
See,
Just on that diagram.
That's what I mean. At every turn, all they do is run from the very surface that they're arguing with us that they live on. Just want people to point that out to them.
Just on that diagram that he's showing that's there on screen, where you have the equatorial plane and an EQ mount, right, at its center, right? That EQ mount can't be polar aligned if they're trying to claim that they're pointing at Polaris there in the sky. Because if that EQ mount was where it would be if it's close to the equator, it would be in, let's just say, the easiest place for people to imagine, because it's probably the most famous place, it would be Southern California, right? So when does anyone in Southern California have that angle to Polaris with a telescope or anything else? They don't. They're 33 degrees north, so that means their angle is going to be based off that latitude. It won't be straight up in the air. So this is completely fraudulent.
I don't know if you know.
They didn't have the height of the star map.
I don't know if you know people in California. I mean, how can they do that once they step out the opium tent? Nathan, can you stick for like 2 minutes after you close out, just for a logistical point? Can you do that, sir?
Want me to hang around after we're finished?
That was too funny to breathe past. The opium tent? What the fuck?
So, Nathan, can you sit? I'm serious. 2 minutes. Just be real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'm serious as well.
Please continue. Sorry for the interruption.
I just want to know how to measure the height of star.
But this is the point I'm making. If you were in California, Southern California, and you were in your you were outside your opium tent, right? around California, and you were trying to look directly at Polaris and with your EQML telescope, and the under lens, the lens that's underneath the main lens, that's polar aligned. That means it's aligned to Polaris, right, to the North Star. When are you ever going to have the angle that's shown the EQML telescope has on that diagram? Because this is what I was talking about earlier, where where the direction to north from their equatorial plane is directly straight up from their equatorial plane. So when you're going to have that angle, you're not. You'll never have that angle in reality to Polaris from Southern California, even if you're on opium.
Nathan, the slide we showed earlier for chocolate, again, I want to show. So I just put it up again, the dingleberry and then the celestial sphere with the...
Yep.
Okay, so chocolate, if you can see this slide, this is what you were referencing. Why do they always need a flat surface, equatorial plane? And why don't they ever use their globe surface? Well, this picture pretty much tells you right here. Now, all that disk on the top, that goes all the way to the infinite celestial sphere, okay? No star below that disk can be seen. Now, if you just move that to the center of that Earth, it would be the same. No star would be seen. So center of Earth and the top disk are one and the same. Dingleberry is surplus to requirement, as Nathan pegged it.
Yep. I just love how they go out of their way to point it out. Like kind of like triangles.
The fact that
What's his name?
When are we going
Yeah,
to
Levi.
continue the Triangles McKeegan saga? So it's been a week.
What are you saying, Alwyn? When are we going to what?
When are we going to continue the Triangles McKeegan saga? In a week.
I trimmed out the ball busters and edited it down. So there was about 3/4 of an hour that we spent on my edited video, admittedly, but I've taken that and edited that down to about half an hour. So
Right, but that was an edit down, very well edited, by the way. Well done, Nathan.
Thanks.
From the show that we did live. But I mean, we only got halfway his video, right?
Yeah. Well,
So there should be another half to review live.
I think we've moved on to Danny Faulkner doing church sermons now. Talking about preaching about the Black Swan.
It's like we're postponing finishing that video.
There's no rule that says we have to get to the end of a video. If you watch other people on YouTube who do response videos, and I'm like, oh wow, we've taken 3/4 of an hour over 3 minutes. That's standard. When you watch other people, they'll look at a couple of minutes of the video, and they'll make a 15-minute response video, and that's like digestible for YouTube. So us like feeling that we've got to plow our way through an entire half-hour video in response, that's like 4 hours worth of response material. It's just not necessary.
Yeah, but in this case, it kind of is because it's Triangles McKeegan, and he's been the most successful at laying down conceptions on how you can't use a globe to navigate and all that. I mean, this is like worthy digging into.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're just waiting.
So, I mean, there's bound
we're
to be
just
another crazy confession like this further down the video.
Right, that's what we're waiting for, is that later crazy confession. So this is bait. We don't want to scare him. Just give him just enough bait to go make another crazy video.
No, but he has 15 minutes left of his video. We only got 15 minutes in. I do believe that this week we should definitely, because I said this already, Aaron, myself 2 days ago, we should definitely cover the other 15 minutes. Otherwise, he could come up with some nonsense like, oh, they were too scared to cover the other 15 minutes.
But that's the point. But that's the point. Wait until he says that, and we'll say, okay, we'll go cover it now. And then he'll be like, oh, why did I say that?
Because the reason it doesn't work on the globe.
Already there. Sorry, it's already.
I know, but
we don't need him to respond. We got the other half of the video to actually review.
All right,
exactly. We don't need that.
All right, great. Listen, I got to go. But hey, Q, are you still there?
Yes.
I sent you 2 more references that we shared on the show today on the height and not, angle versus actual height of stars, just so I know on Saturday when I was trying to play golf, you were asking for something better, so I sent you 2 more.
Fair enough.
Ooh, you found a hype map?
Nathan, just check Skype.
Okay.
About the
Can I ask you a
triangles,
question?
McKeegan. Real quick about the triangles, McKeegan. All he did in his video was use a flat Earth and then deny the Earth was flat through the whole video.
And prove
Why
how
would
you
we need to
can't
cover-
measure the angle, how it doesn't work out on a
Right.
globe.
That's right, John. That's right, Arvin.
But
So
why
now
do we
that-
need to go any further with that?
So now,
Because
so
we
now
don't
the-
know what was the other half of the video.
Yeah, but now the
You
bait
might
has
have
been
debunked
set.
some other globe concept further down
Right,
the
but
line.
now the bait has been set for him to bite.
No, I'm with Arwen.
But he's
here.
already
We
been.
should be
He's
doing the other half of the
already
video.
made a response video, right? So just do the
He
other
could very
half.
easily, yeah, Arwen, because he could very easily say, they were too scared to do the other half of the video. There's no point me even doing a response to the first one.
That's the
And
bait.
then but
That's
then he
the
just,
bait.
no, it's not, because he just says there's no point me doing the response to the first half. Because there's no point me doing the response because they didn't do the other half of the video. Well, why should we wait for the bait? Why can't we not
Look,
why do we always, hang on, why do we have to have some cunning plan? Why can't we just decimate the other half of the video?
I've tried
don't
this with
understand.
Nathan. I've tried this with Nathan, Brian. So I'm on your side fundamentally, but I've tried this with Nathan to finish things and be concise, have them labeled right. But knowing that Nathan's this way, then I just changed my tact to match Nathan's tact.
Oh, it's
I'll
not
just-
Nathan. Oh, it's not Nathan not being concise. Let's get that clear, because this is going into my logistical point.
All right. Well, what I'm
All right.
trying to say is, it works either way for me personally, because if Nathan doesn't continue, which we all wish he would, it still works because Dave Triangles McKeegan will say it wasn't a fair. Who's talking? I'm trying.
Jesus, who's
Neil.
ruining this recording?
Sorry.
It's Neil.
So
I don't know how I'm off mute.
it's all right, Neil. You didn't
Why
know.
not being on?
I don't know that it takes a while for that signal to go from the top of the earth to the center of the earth. So
I
maybe
was
that was it.
moving my phone to the car and I must hit the button. I'm sorry.
What color
You
was
heard
the
my
phone?
personal business just now.
What color was the phone?
Well, all right. You changed latitude, and that's what caused it. Got it. All right. Anyway,
Coriolis deviation.
so the point is, even with Nathan's version of it, I could see a winning point, which is cover what he thinks is enough, and then if Dave Twangles McKeegan doesn't respond, no big deal. If he does respond, we get to dive into the rest of the video. If he critiques us not for finishing, then we'll finish it, and the new video he made, which will embarrass him on 2 points. So it works either way.
I don't see the
Can I ask a
logic in that.
question?
I mean, if he's going to respond, then we should respond to his response, right? Why would we then only after response continue the video that he's responding to our response to?
I'm going to go with no. No, Brian, you can't.
Video. Has he responded to Nathan's last video with any response? Yes or no?
I
How
don't know.
many stupid things do you have to say?
I'm not
How many
subscribed.
stupid things do you have to say? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I don't know. I'm not subscribed to Dave McKeegan. I have no idea if he's made a response.
Wasn't our last response a response to his response? It's like, what are we
How many
talking about?
how many stupid things do you have to say before you can say, you know what, I'm done with this guy?
Bro, you know why it
I
doesn't
don't
work
know.
on a
Let's review
globe?
the other
Because
half of the video.
for trigonometry, you need triangles. And triangles have flat sides, and you need a flat surface to make a perfect baseline. What
Nothing else.
what more do we need after that?
He said it all.
Adam, Brian.
How do you know he said it all? We only got halfway through. You keep on saying, oh, no, we've seen enough. We've seen enough. How do you know? Did you watch the other half of the video? Did anybody?
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's just
Adam.
do it. Let's just stop talking about
so-
do it or
so,
how
okay,
we're going to do
right.
it. Let's just do it.
So what Arwin and
Yeah.
Brian are saying is, right, we're in the courtroom. We've seen the photo and video of the man murdering his wife. But no, let's hear what else he's got to say. Okay, yeah, because we're
Exactly.
unconvinced of what's gone on so far, so we need more, right?
But we need to
Nathan.
know how guilty he is exactly. So let's hear him out further.
Nathan,
Well,
one
we do
last
have the
slide.
signed confession with that video evidence too, and then we have him on the stand admitting it. But yeah, let's keep going.
No, there might be
Unfortunately,
two murders instead of one. We need to let him confess.
Just one last slide before I run. Adam and Brian, look at this last slide from the Equatorial Mount article.
Just to keep addressing the point, in a court of law, we may have seen that bit of evidence, but unfortunately, you have to finish the trial.
Yep.
Nathan, can you put the very last slide I'll show today up?
Yeah, sure.
And for Adam, all right. So, is this what you were talking about, Adam? Where he's got a right angle, but he shows north horizontally with west, east, and south.
Just got the picture. Just give me a sec. Yes.
Just to point out,
yes. Yeah, in a way, yeah, because you can then take that and plot it on a map, all of that. Yeah. And the
Right.
directions stay true.
Right, but they're horizontal directions.
in a trial, the prosecution's got to rest.
Yeah, we just can't get off the triangles right now. When I'm trying to show a triangle here on the horizontal plane.
Why, we can't branch off into something else?
Blanch off?
Can I ask a question about Danny Faulkner's video? Did she start at the 29-minute mark? Did it?
Yeah.
And did she get to the point where Danny Faulkner says you can't get 69 miles per degree on a flat plane?
No, we only got 2 minutes in.
Right,
we savaged him at the point of trying to demonstrate what he was doing. Look, he's going to hell. I've seen you beat me already to a thumbnail, Nathan, but he's at that point he was kind of done, wasn't he? And it all kind of focused there on just that first step that he's trying to make. Thought we hammered that very nice. That first bit of fakeness, that first movement from reality to try and excuse it in his model.
No, he's in hell. He's in hell. It's called the flat earth. That's a hell for him. This is hell for him. Yeah. So he actually already is there. He's there already, up to a point. But the reason I'm asking is because he says something just prior to saying that, and it would be missed because you'll be more likely to jump on the 69 miles per degree point. And I was originally when I first heard it, and I stopped myself a second later. I went, hang on a minute. What did he just say? So when we get to that, you'll hear it. He said something, and he just gives the game away completely.
The thing about he was in a church telling people that you could get measurements from the center of Earth, and people weren't throwing rocks and rotten fruit at him. That's interesting.
Because they're indoctrinated, John.
Did you have an end to that thought, John?
Well, it's, just seems like a mass delusion to me. But
John, it's no different than your testimony once you saw what the Black Swan showed you. We just have to show that the center of Earth is going to be the new Black Swan to wake people up.
I'd already made a thumbnail, actually, Adam. Did you see it?
Yeah, that's what I just said there. I went to, thought you'd gone quiet, so I thought it might have gone up, but you'd already smashed it. So this is a good topic, isn't it? You see, that was why.
Danny pulled the little fast one. If you get in late 2026, when we get there, no one caught it. I pulled up Fletcher's. I was watching a little bit last night. Danny pulled up the what appeared to be a black swan, but it actually wasn't, because it cut the bottom half off and then made up a story about somebody being 6 feet off the deck. No one caught that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, hello.
Yeah, when
Was he
you
playing
said
in the edge of the world, was he?
when you said 2026, I said, "Gee, we're 3 years later." When did he do a video 3 years later?
Yeah,
You meant the
So
minute
he
mark.
said 2026 when we get to that.
No, I know, not. I said, oh, he means the minute mark. I got it.
So wait, we gotta wait for the year
No,
2026.
I don't mean the minute mark. No, I don't.
Oh, well.
2026 year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
6 for what?
So you did mean what you said.
So go
Well,
ahead,
this is
Neil. No, hold on. Go ahead, Neil. You didn't catch that. You were right there.
No, I didn't catch that. I wasn't there for the whole thing. I was going in and out.
There you were.
What did he do? Say that again.
He
Back
pulled
and
up the
look
Black
now.
Swan. He pulled up the Black Swan. Well, looked to appear to be the Black Swan, but he cut the bottom half off and then made up a little story.
Wait a second. Wait.
You mean he
I was there for the
manipulated the
Black
truth?
Swan thing. Wait. I was there for the Black Swan. What did I miss?
Yeah, I just told you.
Was
But
this
if-
after he started talking about the bendy cranes? Because that's when I left.
Yeah, it was before.
Right. It's the Blackpool Swan when they cut the image out and talked about the part that wasn't, didn't show the horizon or anything that could be the horizon.
Nah, I only saw when he had the two pictures side by side, the original Black Swan, and then the other Black Swan that QE showed in his picture, in his presentation from day one.
Oh, but he doesn't
nobody
realize.
in the audience was like, "Hey, which one of those is the curve of the Earth?"
But what he doesn't realize, because he doesn't understand the model that he's promoting to his congregation, is that on his model, that horizon that he's trying to promote as the geometric horizon, and every horizon is claimed to be refracted all the time. He doesn't even know that. So when he tried to use the other horizon as some kind of a get out, which was pathetic, but the whole point is the Black Swan means that that can't happen, right?
He just extended. Now, Brian, the sad thing is he does know that, and he's being
But he doesn't
very
know that. He
deceptive.
doesn't understand. He doesn't understand that every horizon is refracted on his model, or in his model, simply because they have to claim that because no horizon ever matches their globe. He doesn't even know that. He thinks he had a win there.
You guys
He's an
whistled
idiot.
past my point, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. I just have to.
Go ahead. You can continue. That's fine. I think I made my point.
I fell asleep watching Danny waffle.
Forget about Danny. What's this about Whitson and you debating? I heard through the grapevine.
Debating?
That's what I hear.
Yeah,
What's the point of
debate's gonna
contention?
debate's going to be his trial because he's got a couple charges that he has some comeuppance with. That's going to be. I don't know about debate. I don't think he's going to debate out of that.
Yeah, there is no debate. There is no point of contention. It's just the only things that need to be discussed are the points where Whitson is wrong about his assertions. That's the only discussion to be had.
No, the only
Whether he's lying or
discussion
an idiot.
is his defense against sedition and treason. That's the only discussion.
Right, but the way he's justifying it is by saying things that aren't true, that he's been told aren't true, and he's just ignored.
I don't know about that, but maybe he'll bring that up during his trial.
So not debate.
That's
you
right,
and him are
folks.
gonna
You heard it here. John,
The hitman. Oh, now I'm getting a call. Jesus.
Try that again, Eli.
You got a call. When's it supposed to take place, QE?
I have no idea. I'm busy for the next probably month. So I don't know. Whatever. He can prepare his defense. Sedition and treason are the charges.
And that does seem to be the only points of contention that I could see. So that will be interesting.
Wait, did he
What?
excommunicate us already? Are we have we been excommunicado? Are we all John Wick now? Fucking clown.
One fucking- I like that part. Well, what's the Blackpool Swan up here for?
Chocolate reminded me of what a bunch of dirty cheese the ballers are. So this is the Blackpool Swan, or as it was put to us first, where Earth curve apparently is right at this point here, and with the tower, and that's what we were given a load of waffle for quite a time to, until somebody found the original photo, and we realised that the ballers had chopped some off. Like this bit here, where the horizon just continued on the flat plane all the way up to the mountain peaks, negating their argument that this hazy bit here, look, was Earth curve. As we go on, look, we can zoom
Boy, this
in
is a trip down memory
see
lane
the
right here.
shoreline.
Thanks for
maybe
rumpusing
they're
my
both Earth curve.
Thanks for rumpusing my comment. But, walk down memory lane there, huh, Adam?
Yeah, I just thought,
Where's the horizon in that photo?
I can't see one. See the shoreline. I see the mountains. I see the lake. Oh, the water. I see the beach. No.
No?
What's this?
Oh, the Pepsi big one. You can see that.
Was this the argument where you had to deny the existence of perspective and the effect of visual occultation?
No,
Yeah.
no, this is the argument where they had to use flat Earth.
They took it to that, didn't they, Brian? And I think you smashed them in terms of bits and bobs, and we took the relative peak heights and all sorts of stuff. The days where we used to be brainwashed for this, and all the relative heights that don't match up from this perspective and stuff on a ball. But there was lots of arguments, weren't there? And maths done.
Damn thing is, some people still use that.
Didn't they use elevation angles here? You're going to have to refresh your memory.
Yes, they did. They had to give you a flat Earth. That was the first thing they did.
Well, I have my friend's brother has a Mavic 4, I think. Mavic Pro 4, is it? One of the really good drones. And he's going to come out with me, and he's going to represent the effect of visual occultation for me using that drone, which is, some people call it vertical parallax, I think. Some people call it that. But in photography, it's visual or photographic occultation. Because that's what really annoyed me about that is that Ranty, right? Everyone knew that Ranty was claimed to have a really good drone at that point. Now, I doubt he had it at that point. He probably sold it, right? But doesn't matter. He was claimed to have it, and he could have gone out with his drone to exactly where that guy was, because Ranty didn't live that far away from that area, and gone up, used his drone from the exact height the guy started at, that 20-foot elevation, and brought the drone up in the air vertically, right? That will bring the mountains up above Blackpool Tower and bring it back down and bring Blackpool Tower above the mountains. He could have done that, but he didn't. And none of our opposition did it. And they still try and hang on to that photograph. I don't know how they do that, but they still try and hang on to that.
They do every day.
Yeah.
But you don't really need to argue with them. They conceded the argument when the minute they began it to use the angular size with the elevation angle.
Yeah.
I don't think people be getting it, John. I just don't think they're getting it.
Well, would it be better to ignore that point and move on to argue with them about something else, or just stay on that point until they get it?
All right, I'll give you, for instance, if they were getting it, then why are they still talking about space in an argument? Why are they still talking about the horizon in an argument? Why are they still talking about how much of buildings should appear to be blocked by a bulge? So I don't think they're getting it on the flat Earth side.
Looks like nobody else was getting it from the flat Earth side yesterday when they cut the Black Swan photo in half and it just allowed it to be.
I still don't know what you're talking about. I must have took a snooze at that point.
Of course you don't. That's the problem.
There was so much nonsense in that, and it went on so long. I did have to stop and go eat and spend a little time with the
There we
family.
go. Dog ate my homework.
Yeah.
Tucked on Superman's cape. I'm not just talking about you.
No, I should catch it if it's
Everybody.
there.
Everybody.
No. But I'm from Flat Earth Debate. I should not miss something like that. So I will go back and watch it and see exactly what I missed.
All right. And then you present on what you missed. How about that?
You got it.
All right. Fair enough. We can move on.
In all fairness, there may not have been an Adderall drip.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. The guy's using picture Bibles to say, you see? Now, what does that look like? Looks like Jesus standing next to a globe.
Ridiculous. This is like, it's like whack-a-mole. I dealt with him back in 2016. I still got the email debate, if you want to call it that, on my email. 2016. I think it was June 2016. Danny Faulkner, Answers in Genesis. Most of the points that he brought up yesterday were brought up at that time.
John, it's not like whack-a-mole. It would be like whack-a-mole if the moles whacked themselves when they jumped up.
So wait a second. This has been dealt with before, and he's still spewing the same nonsense?
Nah, the bendy cranes is new now because the Black Swan wasn't out before.
They mostly come out at night. Most.
See, I've got no problem, right, with the anti-flat earthers ballers coming on and doing this waffle with us, whether they believe it or not. For somebody who's been around, as QE saying, for this long, hasn't developed the argument and really doesn't have a rebuttal when people address his argument, to go to a church congregation and start preaching it. It's just like, I'm not a Christian by Christians' definitions, but it just seems completely against all kind of morals and ethics.
It's hypocritical.
Oh, yeah. And
he's
being done in a church.
Yes, he's a scumbag.
What kind of church? Is it one of those
Yeah, it
churches
doesn't matter. He's a
everybody's all
scumbag.
gay?
Yes. Oh, brother.
What kind of church?
The regular Christian church.
What color was the church? How high were the steeples?
That's right. Were they using any antiquitech?
Did it have big steeples as well?
That's what exactly.
That makes it even worse.
Well, it wasn't a Roman Catholic church, okay? It was a regular.
Brother. Now, Neil, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Somebody brings up something minor, right? Inconsequential, and everyone runs after it. No, let's get that. But they missed the big point.
I'm just answering a question.
Just like a trap.
That's the
He
same
was
thing
in a
that
claim to
happened
be
when
House of Truth, spreading lies. That's the point.
Yeah, that was wasn't whether it was a Roman Catholic, a stone one, a wooden one, or in the Lord's great outdoors. He's preaching to a Christian congregation.
You don't get
it. That. Sorry, Neil, carry on.
You don't get why he's doing it. Obviously,
That was sarcasm. That was meant to make you quiet, not carry on.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I thought I was giving a green light.
Go on, mate.
No, I'm saying this would not have happened 2-3 years ago. Count it as an advancement because now he feels he has to preempt and get to these churches and get his bolts out. But I think it's going to backfire on him because that was very quiet there yesterday. So I believe that there are a lot more flat earthers there than we know.
Oh, brother. Did you consult your crystal ball there about the audience you didn't see?
My discernment. It was my discernment. How about that?
Arguments of silence, fallacy, Neil. That's what you just used.
Neil might do remote viewing. You don't know that.
Remote viewing.
And listen, and what do you listen? There's a reason why he's doing it, right? He obviously is scared. He's got to tell people how to answer flat earthers. And he also claimed that the internet is going to be our undoing. Okay? So he's afraid of something.
Oh, poor baby. Thanks, Neil.
You're welcome anytime.
Eli was trying to say something a minute ago as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking no.
Go ahead, Eli. Don't let him bully you.
He's got a different type of church, hasn't he? Go on, name it, Eli.
I'm in the car going to a golf lesson, and I want to chime in. The reason he's doing it in churches, houses of worship, meeting halls, wherever he's invited to speak, is because the pastors who are more interested in spreading the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ aren't taking the time to study it like we do here or anyone should. What's happened is scientism has crept in, the faultiness of it, it's everywhere. And so now when Christians who see the truth say, hey, pastor, hey, assistant pastor, or anyone in leadership, something is wrong with this space thing, and because the Bible doesn't say stuff like this. And then I've been really doing some research, and physics and reality doesn't match what they're selling us. The pastor is not equipped, so he goes looking in answers in Genesis, not the book of Genesis where he should be looking, but in the organization called Answers in Genesis. And then Danny Faulkner's there waiting, and he wrote a book preempting falling flat. Okay, so now he's the expert that the pastor isn't. So he gets invited so the pastor can take a pass, a hall pass, and not address the issues anymore. And this is all going to backfire on all the lazy pastors, and especially Danny Faulkner, who's going to be held accountable for every word he uses that goes against the word of God. I've said what I've said.
Well said, Tim.
Isn't you see, if he was doing what he was doing, and it's the content of the material he's using. He's using, frankly, contentious bullshittery, like all the anti-flat earthers do. But if he was doing this and he was just going into the church with scripture that supported his worldview, I wouldn't have. I'd be really interested, but he doesn't seem to be doing that. He's not using the Bible to make his point to his congregation. He's using his pseudoscience, and as you say, allowing the authority of the pastor to validate what the crap he's feeding. But and this is the key point: where in his scripture, surely by now he should be giving us all the answers in Genesis that prove his worldview, and that to me is meritable and worthy of a church, but not the content he's providing to his congregation. That's pseudoscience. It's false.
The last 12 minutes of the video he does when he rocks everybody to sleep, and he comes with scripture, and it's not even the right scripture.
Well, that's worth a look at.
Yeah, well, I've had plenty of conversations with Christians, being one, and I say, well, let's look at the Bible, and then let's look at the claims of heliocentrism as contrasted with geocentrism, because I don't start off with flat Earth. I start off with, does the Bible teach heliocentric cosmogony or geocentric cosmogony? And then, of course, it's pretty obvious it's geocentric. Okay, and then this is the very reason there was a Copernicus revolution. Well, what was the revolution from? Well, from geocentric to heliocentric. So they can't deny, excuse me, even historically. Okay, so once we've done that, then I start showing how they get all their measurements needing a flat disk. Well, if it's heliocentric, why are you using the flat Earth for everything? And then I just use all the knowledge we all have gained, helping each other here from all points and angles for argumentation, and it just starts breaking down. But the problem is, the people in the church have cogged this to where they'll say something like this. Well, whether it's flat or round, I mean, you give some good arguments here, and I'm not a science guy. So listen, let's just say you may be right or they may be right, but both can't be right. But let's just say, what does it matter? Isn't the most important thing to get people to realize their sin nature and the love of God through what Jesus did? I go, absolutely. And Jesus said he is the way and the life. Oh, hang on. No, I am the way. I am the way, the truth, and the life.
I got it.
Truth. So are you not interested in truth? Are you not sure how Satan deceives? This is a deception issue for me to my brethren and my sisters. It's not anything else. I say, I want to talk to you about a great deception that's been allowed to enter the church. And we can tear it apart with the word of God. And they're saying, but it's not our main mission. It's not science or anything. I go, but it involves your main mission. Say, okay, so if I'm a Christian and I don't believe you, am I going to hell? I said, no. Stupid people who become Christians and are stupid still go to heaven. But they are all over the education system from the cradle to universities saying, don't even bother with the Bible because heliocentrism, Big Bang, and what's the other one? Evolution, that destroys any trust in Genesis. So now the people I'm trying to reach so they could hear that glorious message of salvation from sin don't even respect the book I'm going to open.
And with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!